Hey everybody. We are now going to work on Module 7, SAM Project 7B. I've got the instructions pulled up, so let's get started. This is a rather long project, very arduous, a lot of tasks to complete, and some hard formulas, I must say. So the first thing, Brittany's a volunteer for the Brevard County Swim Clubs. She is going to compile some data on the employees and teams and needs your help completing the workbook. Switch to the all employees worksheet. First of all, there's a lot of worksheets here. And again, so you can see all the menu items, I'm going to expand this across. I can't see. Oh my. Okay, there you go. Okay. And also the names of the sheets, there's more sheets. You can just click these three things to move this over so you can see all the sheet names. This doesn't need to be so long. All right, so we're on the all employees worksheet and it's not that long. It's just from here to here. The first thing we want to do is do an X lookup, I guess. In cell E3, we're going to enter a formula, I'm assuming to calculate the pay rate. We're going to use an X lookup function to determine their pay rate, which is based on their years of experience, which is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look up on some table the years of experience, and based on that, it's going to give a pay rate here. And we're going to use an X lookup formula. VLOOKUP formulas are far more common. We use them a lot. So I guess we're going to go over here, see the years of experience and the pay rate, 0, 1, 2, 5, and 8. And the pay rates are right here. I guess the longer they've been here, the more they make. Generally, we would see this with years of experience and pay rate in the columns, and then these numbers would go down instead of across. And in that case, we would use a VLOOKUP formula. But I guess they want you to go across. Now, there's an H lookup formula, which is like a VLOOKUP, except you look across, find a number, and then return the volume, the thing below it. But there's a new function, relatively new, called XLOOKUP, which is more versatile, they say. And let's just see how that works. All right, so again, back over here, pay rate. And this is one of those formulas I'm not going to try to type manually. I'm just going to use my function wizard. You can go to lookup and reference and scroll down and find XLOOKUP right there. And it's going to walk you through how to do it. The value we want to look up over on that table over there is obviously we want to look up the number 4. So click on that and it'll show up this way because, instead of showing up like D3, it's going to show up as this because this is an Excel table. Anyway, and the second argument is, sorry, I accidentally clicked somewhere I shouldn't have clicked. Forgive me. Okay, so back here, sorry. Let's go to most recently used. It should show up there. Okay, we want to look up the years of experience on which table? Over here. And it's telling you this is the table. P14 to U14, P14 to U14. Okay, so we wanted to look up the number 4 in this row. Is it going to find it? It's between 2 and 5, so it will find it. And then we wanted the return array to be this row. And for some reason, they want you to include the pay rate in that. Let's just go with it. Oops. Okay, so that's the row that we want the number to come from. So if it was 1, it would bring back 1575. If it was 8 years, it would bring back 1750. We're going to leave this one blank. The match mode is -1 because I think we want it to go down 1. All right. Now, one thing before I even hit OK, it's going to automatically fill it down and get the pay rate for every employee, and it's going to copy the formula down. As you copy the formula down, it would also change the references here to down, 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 down. We don't want that. For every record, for every employee, we want it to stick to freeze, to reference this table only. So I'm going to make these absolute references. So as I drag down, put a $ in front of each letter and each number, like so. There's a F key you can press to do this in one step, but I forgot what it is. Okay, so there we go. And now it's looks like it's working. You know, this person has 7 years experience, so they're getting 17. So they're getting 1650. They are not getting 1750 because they only have 7 years. Excel is kind of smart. If the number is looking for is 7, then it's greater than 5, so it'll just go with that. 7 is not even on this table. Okay, so there's that. Fill in the formula. It's going to do this for you because this is an Excel table. We don't need to do that. Each summer, the swim club hosts a camp for young swimmers. This is step 2. To work as a counselor, right here, an employee must be at least 21 years old. Brittany wants to determine how many employees are eligible, or at least 21. In cell J3, right there, enter a formula using the if function to determine if Tiffany can work as a camp counselor. Well, is she at least 21? Let's just look. She is 22, so we should get a yes there. The function should reference the age column. Yeah. Yes, if she can be a counselor. No, if not. Okay, so a simple if function. I'm going to do this in the function wizard, although this is an easy formula. I could just type it in. I want to show you how to use a function wizard. So the if functions, I believe, are under logical. Yeah, there we go. The logical test. This is where a lot of students mess up. They will put something silly like if, if, what is it, greater than or equal to 21 years old. Okay. This makes no sense to Excel. If greater than or equal to 20. Well, if what is greater than or equal to 21? If this is greater than or equal to 21. I watch you guys take this certification exam, the National Microsoft Office certification. I proctor it, and I see students make this mistake all the time. The logical test has to be a sentence, with a verb in it. So if this is greater than or equal to 21, then what do you want it to say? You want it to say yes. Now, it's text. It's a word, so we got to put it in quotation marks. Anytime you have a word, it's got to be in quotation marks. Otherwise, we want it to say no. So if this is true, yes. If it's false, no. Okay, good. And it filled it all the way down for us. Looks like nobody can be a counselor. That can't be right. That can't be right. Camp counselor. No, in fact, they should be yes. What have I messed up on? If years of experience is greater than or equal to 21, Oh, it's age, not years of experience. I can just, instead of this, just kind of drag this over. Oh well, let's just start over. Okay. If, and I'll show you how to type it. If, open parentheses, age, right, is greater than or equal to 21, then we don't put spaces in formulas. Yes, otherwise, no. This is how an if statement, close your parentheses. This is how an if statement works. There we go. I was using years of experience instead of age there. Let's go on to the next step. Step 3, to be eligible to work for a swim team, all employees must have at least 2 years of experience or have completed CPR training. This is still an if statement. So what we're going to do, let me show you how to do this. And first of all, make sure you understand what this is doing. If the employee has at least 2 years here. So if this is at least 2, in other words, greater than or equal to 2, or what? Um, if they've been trained in CPR. Here, see, or if this is yes, yeah. So if they've only got 1 year of experience, but they are trained in CPR, then they can still coach the swim team or work with the swim team. All right. And just peruse it. You know, this person's 18, no experience. That should be a no. Anyway, let me show you how this works. I'm going to try it first in the function window. If, okay, the logical test, if, okay, but we got two ifs, right? So what we do is we put or here. So if, okay, this or that, then yes, then no, right? So or, okay, so first thing is, what was it? Years of experience, 2. Okay, so if that is greater than or equal to 2, or, that's the comma, or CPR trained equals yes. Oops. Now be sure you close your parentheses. See, there's a parentheses just after the or. So these are enclosed in parentheses. And you can see for this person, that is true because they have more than 2 years experience, or that. Since they're both, it's still true. Now, if true, we want to say yes. And if not, we will say no. And it should fill it all the way down for you. Very good. We're on step 4 now. Employees may serve as swim team coaches right there. If they're at least 23 and have at least 3 years of experience. So this is the same kind of thing. We'll go back in here. This formula is a little too complex for me to do just type it right in the cell with the equals. I'm going to use my function wizard. And we're going to use the if function. So if what? If they're at least 23 and 3 years experience. So instead of or, we're going to type and. Open your parentheses. So what and what? So and what goes in these parentheses? I can go ahead and close it here, right? So what goes between these parentheses? What was it? At least 23 and 3 years experience. Okay. If the age is greater than or equal to 23, greater than or equal to 23, and that's my parentheses. 3 years of experience, and years of experience is greater than or equal to 3. And I've already closed my parentheses there. So this person is going to be false. Why? Because they only have they have 4 years of experience, but they're only 22. And both have to be true. This is an and statement, not an or statement. So this person is out because they're too young. If true, we wanted to say yes. And if not, no. Okay, there we go. All right, all filled in for us. We're rocking and rolling. Number 5, step 5. Brittany wants to identify employees who are eligible to take a CPR course at the club's expense. So this should be, I guess, yes or no, I guess. Employees who can work as camp counselors over here. So if this is a yes, if they can work as a camp counselor, well, they're eligible. Okay. But what if not? It says if not, um, hmm, let's see. What if they're not though? Uh-huh. If not, does that employee meet the qualifications to take the course? If the value in the CPR trained column is yes, the formula should say trained. Otherwise, the formula should okay, do another if statement. See what I'm saying? If they are CPR trained, this will simply say yes. If not, there's another if statement. Because if not, there's more ifs going on. It should say if they're a camp counselor, then yes, they can still do it, even if they're not CPR trained. Otherwise, they cannot do anything. All right, these are tough. And I think with a nested if statement, I'm going to turn my camera on for a second because I want to show you something. Okay, everybody, it may be hard to see. Let me hold it up for a second. But when I'm doing a really complicated formula, okay, well, you can't see it, it's too blurry. I write it out, all right, on paper because it's kind of tough. Anyway, let's do it. And there's not enough room in the cell, it's going to bleed over. I'm just going to go up here and type it. All right, if equals if. Yeah, this is tough. All right, so if what? If the CPR trained column is yes, then we want trained to show up there. Oh, okay. So if this is equal to yes, then I wanted to say the word trained. Okay. Every if statement has 3 arguments. There's a logical test. If CPR trained equals yes, then this is the second argument. What do we want to say? If not, then that's the third argument. We would normally do something like no, right? But we're not done yet. If not, we wanted to do another if test. So if, what is it? If they're a camp counselor, it can be yes. So if, where's camp counselor? If this equals yes, then yes. Otherwise, no. In close parentheses. Uh-oh. Okay, did I miss a quotation mark there? Yes, I did. All right, now watch. It can be easy to lose track of your parentheses. I got a parentheses there and one there, both going forward. Watch what happens. This one will flash for a second when I type this parenthesis. Boom, see how that flashed for a second? And then when I type the other one, this will flash. Okay, so now I know I have the right number of parentheses. There need to be the same number of inward facing parentheses as there are inward on the right. They need to match, in other words. If I put an extra parentheses, I'm in trouble. See, too many parentheses. Gotta have the right number. There we go. That's called a nested if statement. I'll let you take a picture of this. Pause your thing, pause your computer. Okay, let's go on. Number 6. Nested if functions are used a lot in accounting, believe it or not, when you're doing financial statement analysis. Okay. Employees who work at the swim clubs are also considered for employment at the county parks. Employees with more than 4 years experience are qualified for better jobs. Okay. And cell in enter level, the word level, and hit enter. In cell N3, enter a formula using the if function structure represented. What is that? What's it asking here? Tiffany, that's Tiffany. Um, I guess if Tiffany has more than 4 years experience, yeah. So use an if function to determine which employment level Tiffany is qualified for. If her years of experience is greater than or equal to 4, then we want to say 2 or 1 if false. This is a weird thing to do. So equals if. I'm just going to type this one out. Equals if. And notice it also shows up here. If. Oh, I lost my place. If Tiffany's years of experience are greater than or equal to 4 years of experience, okay, are greater than or equal to 4, then we wanted to say 2, otherwise 1. These are numbers, so you don't need quotation marks. All right, there we go. You only need quotation marks around text. Please note there are no quotation marks here. Okay, that was easy. Number 8. Brittany created a formula with a VLOOKUP function. Da, 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 da. Okay, I like this one. This is very interesting. Again, we use VLOOKUPs a lot in accounting, and we use this if error function. I'm on number 8, by the way. So over here, we have this thing where we type in the employee ID. Who is V188? That's Javier Vasquez. So if I type in V188, it shows the name. If I type A213, just to experiment, it shows Tiffany Adams. Control Z, again, it undoes whatever you do. So this is how that works. Now here's the thing. What if I went over here and changed Javier's Vasquez's number to V187, for example? See what happens. I get an error, an NA. Why? Because it's looking for employee V188 over on this list in this column, but it's not finding it. There is no employee V188. And we want to customize this formula to not show this ugliness, but to show a nice message like invalid employee number. Let me change this back to V188 before I forget. All right, so what we do, and I do this a lot. This makes your spreadsheets a lot cleaner. What it's doing is it's looking up this in this table. And it looks up the number always in the leftmost column that you've selected. And then it counts to the right. How many? It looks up Q3, this thing, in this table, counts to the second column to the right. False means it's going to give you an error if it doesn't find an employee V188. So what we want to do is we want to insert, and I always do my VLOOKUP formula first because this is a complicated formula. And then I go back and insert the if error. So right after the equal sign, if error, open parentheses. There are two arguments in the if error function. The first one is the formula, and the second argument is what you want the cell to say if there is an error. So if error, open parentheses, go to the end, click to the end, comma. What do you want it to say if it is an error? It needs to say invalid employee ID. Quotation, invalid employee ID. Close your parentheses and look for this over here to flash for a second. Okay. Of course, it still says Javier, but if I was to change this back to, and you need to test this to make sure it works. If I change this back to V189 or something, notice it says invalid employee ID because there is no V188 over on this table. Let's change it back and let's move on. Pretty fun, pretty easy. Let's go on to step 9. There are 20 steps and we're on step 9. Brittany wants to determine several totals in cell Q9. Q9. We want to enter a COUNTIF function to count the number of employees who can work as lifeguards. So we type in the word lifeguard there. It's going to go over this table and look up the word lifeguard. And if they are a lifeguard, if this says yes, then it will include them in the count of people who are lifeguards. So we're going to use the COUNTIF function. Let me show you how that works. So here we go. COUNTIF. You can go up here if you want. COUNTIF is in, I don't know. I don't even know. Just go to all and type COUNTIF up here. You'll find it. Hit go. Okay, there we go. Okay, the range that I want to count. I want to count this range. And I want it to look for the word yes. If there is a yes in this column, it will count it. Otherwise, it will not count it. Apparently, there are 11 lifeguards. The solution says 12. Again, if you keep scrolling down to the solutions, make sure your answers are the same as the solutions. What have I done? It's H3 to H31, right? Oh no, there's 32 rows. I stopped short, didn't I? Let's just change that to 32. Okay, yes, there's 12 lifeguards. That's the answer you want. All right, we are now on step 10. In cell R9, enter a formula using the average if function and structure. Average number of years of experience for lifeguards. Okay. Let's go back here. There's average if, but you can find it. Average if So the range, notice when you're clicked in one of these windows, it gives you a description of what this is. This is the range of cells you want, not averaged, but evaluated. In other words, look at the range of data and tell me if they are what? Lifeguards. So lifeguard, right. So if, guys, we want to look at this range, okay? And the criteria is what it's looking for in this column. It's looking for the word yes. If there is a yes for this person, then we want the average years of experience. What is that? Okay, so the range of cells I want to average is this. So there we go. And the result will be 5.6, which is the right answer. So you understand what's going on here? If we were to simply average these numbers, that would average all these numbers. We want to average these numbers, but only if the value over in this column is yes. So it's going to average the 4, the 6, the 6, the 5, the 7, etc. It's going to leave out the ones that have no. 5.6 is the correct answer. R10. We just want a simple average for the years of experience for everybody. We could just use the average function for that. And let me show you, there's also that under the, of course, you can use a type it in, but if you click on the, how come I can't see nothing? If you do auto sum up here, under the home tab, you can sum, of course, but then you can also average. No, we don't want to average that. We want to average the years of experience for everybody. So click that and hit enter. And 3.5 is the correct answer. I wish it would show this all the time. Always show ribbon. That's what I want. There we go. Okay. We're on step 12. Getting close. Switch to the Melbourne Swim Teams worksheet. All right, this one looks easy. Oh no. Index function. I hate the index function. I always find a way to use VLOOKUP instead of index match. All right. This one looks pretty easy. In cell B14, we want to use the index function to display the value in the first row and first column, first column of this swim teams table. Now, here's one thing I need to give you a heads up on. Highlight all this. What does it say up here? It says A2. That ain't nothing. Highlight this only without the headings. Swim teams. See, this range has been named swim teams. So we want to be sure in our formula to highlight only this and to leave out the column headings. That's a little heads up for you. So here we're going to use the index function. I just like to type it in. Oh, equals. Oh, wait a minute. I don't use the index function that much. So I'm going to use my cheat sheet over here that you can't see. Here we go. Equals index. I hate it so much. I just try to not ever use it. On this table, okay, I want it to tell me what is in, see the instructions here, row, in row number 1 and comma, column number 1, close parentheses. Melbourne Vipers is in the first row in the first column of this table. First row, first, big deal. Wasn't that useful? I've already read down the problem, and thank goodness they're not asking you to do an index match. The index function is typically used in conjunction with the match function as sort of a VLOOKUP kind of thing. but I have never found it that useful. So let's just leave this at that and won't even be, I don't think, on the Microsoft certification test. So I think we'll be fine. Let's move on. Number 13 is cell B16. Use a sum if function. Display total wins for teams in the youth league. These are the total wins. And of course, I could total them all if I wanted, but I only want it to include in the total the numbers that are associated with youth, which is these over here. That's a sum if. Again, I like to use this for sum if. Okay, again, the range I want evaluated. I want it to look in this column. If the word is youth, then I do indeed want to include it in this row that I'm summing. Yeah. So I want to sum the numbers here, but only if youth is over here. So it should be 65, which is correct. All right, 14. Now we're going to do a pivot table. Pivot tables are kind of hard and they're really tricky. They're very useful though. Use a lot of pivot tables in accounting. I always struggle with them. Just getting them to look like my boss wanted them to look. They're kind of finicky. Let me show you what this is all about. Step 14, we want to display the Melbourne swim teams. Okay. Data by league and year, pivot table, blah, blah, blah. I'll show you what it's all about as soon as I create it. Switch to the Melbourne pivot table worksheet. In cell A1, create a pivot table based on this table. So this is a really good table. I mean, it's got a lot of good information in it. And obviously this is a rather small table, so I can just look at it and probably get the data I need. But a pivot table is very powerful because you can filter and sort and include and exclude certain fields and values. You can do a lot with it. So I'm going to go over here. Make sure you're in this cell because that's where the pivot table is going to go. And I would just go insert pivot table. And you can base it on some table from somewhere else, but we're going to base it on a table that's in this workbook. So once you're here in this cell, just go on over here and question, we do want to include the headings because it's going to take these headings and it's going to make these the field names in our pivot table. If we don't include the headers here, it's going to think that all these things here are Melbourne Vipers, and these are all types of Melbourne Vipers. So we need to include the headings. All right, and we want it on the existing worksheet, which is over here where I've selected. Data models are really cool, but we're not going to do that right now. Oh my goodness, it's an empty table. There's nothing on here. That's because we haven't selected any of the fields. See the fields over here? They're called fields. These are the column headings that were over on our table, and it automatically knows it because we included the headings. Change the pivot table name to blah, blah. Here's the pivot table name, and here's a little thing for you. If you click over here outside the table, you will get nothing. You've got to be in here somewhere to be able to see your pivot table options. So if you go under pivot table, analyze pivot table name, want to give it a name. We can probably type it here too. I don't know. Never tried. Pivot table names cannot have spaces. Make sure you spell all this stuff right. Capitalize these weird letters. They won't capitalize. Hit the enter key. And that gave it a name. So make sure you don't have any spaces in this name. Add the league field and the team name to the rows area in that order. So all you do is you One way to do it is just drag it down. I guess you, wait a minute, don't do that. Don't click it, just drag it down here to the row section. We want that to be a row. League fields and team name. Drag that down here as well. So now we've got rows, a row for league, adult, summer, and youth. But we've also got team names also in rows. And what it does, it's very smart. It's got the leagues as kind of headings or categories, and it puts the team name under those categories. If we were to mistakenly put those in the wrong order, it would be a mess. It would be like, okay, Coastal's youth, their youth. That's not as meaningful. So make sure you put them in the right order. Adult, these are my 3 adult teams. These are my 3 summer teams. These are my 5 youth teams. Again, stay in here so you get your options. Add the 23, 24, 25 fields in that order to the values area. 23, 24, 25. Okay, so now we've got columns going across. Change the display of the subtotals to show all subtotals. Yeah. This, I had a little trouble finding it first. It's under design, subtotals. And it says show all subtotals at bottom of group. Show all subtotals. Okay, that's going to show some subtotals, which is good information for us. Change the report layout to show an outline form. Report layout, I guess it's currently in compact form. We want it in outline form. Whoa, what did that do? I like this better. It's cleaner looking, isn't it? Compact form just kind of squishes this over. That's kind of nice too. Anyway, they want it in outline form because they just do. F, 14F. Update these fields to be called 2023 wins instead of those things. So what we do here is don't go up in here and change it. You're just changing what's in this cell C1. The pivot table is a dynamic tool, and we need to update stuff in the engine. So no matter how we manipulate, swish it around, change it around, the labels will follow it. We're not going to change the value in cell C1 to 2023 wins. We're going to change the name of this field. So value field settings. We're going to change the name of this actual field to 2023 wins. And they want you to change it to number format. It looks like it's already in number format. Oh, it's not. It's in general format. Not sure what this does. Maybe you can do math with it better if it's in a number format. Okay. So that changed. So do it for all 3. In number format. No decimals. I like the 1,000 separator, but it didn't say put it. If it doesn't tell you to do it, don't do it. It might mark you wrong, take off points. There we go. Now we're on step 15, almost done. Brittany wants to summarize data for all teams in a pivot table. To do so, she must first update the all teams table. All right. Switch to the all teams. I guess we're done with this. All teams. And edit the record for, these are called records, by the way. On a table, these are called records. Going across, this is a record for seaside splashers. These are called fields. Fields, right? Brevard Blue Wave, row 26. There we go. Update Brevard Blue Wave to show 10 as a 2023. Okay, currently says 8. Just change it to 10. Hit enter. Okay, good. Done. That was easy. 16. Switch to all teams pivot table. By the way, what did we just change? Brevard Blue should be 10 in 23. Here, Brevard Blue is still 8. The thing about a pivot table, this is based on this data. See how hard to read this is? There's TMI, too much information on here. The pivot table lets you filter stuff out, make things look the way you want. But Brevard Blue Wave still says 8. So what you have to do is go under pivot table analyze and do refresh. Now it looked back at the table, analyzed the data, and updated this to the correct numbers. 17, apply lavender. All right. That's under design. And it says medium. That's down here. Lavender. This is lavender 6. Lavender 13. That's what we want. Number 18, add a league field to the filters area of the pivot table. Oh, here we go. Here's the filters area, league. So drag it down. Filter the table so that only teams in the youth league. So what if you just wanted to see the youth league? By the way, do you see a column that says youth league or a category anywhere that says youth league? No, you don't. Does this pivot table know that some of these teams are in the youth league? Yes. Why? Because this pivot table is feeding off of this data. And there is a column that shows the league that they're in, youth, summer, adult. But we just chose not to show it in the pivot table. But we are adding a filter. So if we go here and just select youth, it will only show the teams that are in the youth league. Isn't that nice? Step 19, we're going to create a slicer. I like slicers. They're fun. Uh-oh, I clicked out. I can't see anything. Get back in there. All right, what we're going to do is create a slicer based on level. All right, here we go. So what we do is go under Analyze and Insert Slicer. Let's move it around a little bit. What we want to be on the slicer, and I'll show you what a slicer is in a second, is we want to slice on the level. Hit OK. Resize the slicer, remove the slicer. Okay. Over here, the first time I did this, I was manipulating these. This changes the size of the buttons. We don't want to do that. We want to change the size of the slicer itself. We want the height to be 2.3. We want the width to be 1.5. Here we go. And they want to move it up here. E3. That's where they want it. The lower right corner is in G14. G14. Okay. Is that right? Let me look at my slicer, see if it looks good. Looks a little wide compared to the picture. Okay, the height and the width got messed up. 2.3. I guess just make sure these are right. I think it's going to grade you on that. 2.3 3, height, width 1.5. Well, anyway, that's, I guess, how it's going to look. Okay. Use a slicer to filter the pivot table. I want to only show level 4 teams. Again, level 4 is nowhere in here. I'm not even showing. See how level is unchecked? I'm not even showing the level these teams are at in this, but it's still stored in the pivot table's brain because it's referencing this. So if I just go and I want to click on 4, it'll show only the level 4 teams. See, that's the level column. Cool, right? And you can select multiples by holding down the control key and clicking multiples, like so. If you want to unselect them, just click somewhere else. But anyway, we just want to show level 4 teams. This is how your pivot table should look at this point. 17, 16, 18. Yes, this is correct. Oh, last step, step 20. We are almost done. Brittany wants to summarize. So in the swim levels pivot table, make sure you end the table so it shows all this stuff. Insert a pivot chart. Okay. Now, unlike an Excel chart, you don't have to swipe what you want in the chart and then do insert chart. You can just be anywhere in this table and you do insert, pivot chart. And we want to choose, we're on the last step, guys. Stacked column. So we're under column. This is clustered column. We want the regular stacked column, the second one. Hit OK. Makes a nice little pivot chart for us. Resize and reposition. So the upper left corner is in cell E2. E2. Like that. And the lower right corner is an L22. L. Okay, so all the way down like that. That's nice. It's very even with this. It looks good. Add the chart title, wins by level. Chart title. So you need to be in the, not over here. You need to be in the chart. Don't be in here because it's doing stuff to this. Try to be careful where you click in the chart. If necessary, click away and go back in. Maybe in the white area is a good place. You don't want to select like this stuff. You want to be in the chart, but not in any specific part of the chart. We want to add a chart title. So to do that, do not go here. Do not change the chart name. I checked the solution and it's left like this. The chart title is, where is it? Under design? Yeah, add chart element. Chart title. And we want it where? Above the chart. So pick that option. And then we're going to call it wins by level. So click in here, get rid of that. Wins is by capitalized? No, but level is. Then click away. Done. Filter the pivot chart so it only wins in levels 4, 5, and 6. So under level, we want to just select 4, 5, and 6. Those three. There, that's cleaner. We only want to show levels 4, 5, and 6. Looks like the youth are doing well, right? Level 6 youth. Actually, the youth are kind of beating everybody in every level, right? Although in level 6, the adults are not far behind. I think we are done, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Hope y'all have a very nice day.